Come on, Facebook. Sorry, guys, just for Facebook. Oh, my God, come on. Sorry, guys. Anyone watching? If anyone is watching on YouTube, I don't have any viewers, but anywho, I'm going to have to redo Facebook, I think. Oh my God. Sometimes I've had to do it quite a few times on Facebook for it to upload for some reason. Hopefully it'll work this time. Experiencing some technical issues. Please, Facebook, come on. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. I had to do take two on Facebook because the damn thing wouldn't upload. It took ages. So, anyhow, having some technical issues, and I'm way behind schedule because I slept too much and I had a sandwich to eat, so that took a bit of time. And then I was trying to avoid procrastination, distractions, and that kind of thing, which were making me procrastinate. But anyway, welcome to part 2 of Native American, or Native for short, Saturdays. I was thinking, because it's November, I was thinking Native empowerment. Normally I like to focus on that in July, August and September, but I suppose Native could mean Indigenous people or Native people or whatever term you want to use, from homogenous people or whatever from Australasia as well, I guess. I mean, these ideas could generally be applied to both. But yeah, in part 1 I talked about how I'd love for companies like Santander and organizations and businesses. Well, I didn't really say organizations, but I could say organizations, associations, and even NGOs and charities, as well as banks and businesses and all that kind of thing. I'd love to see them come together to support Native people from across the Americas, similar for Aboriginals, Torres and Strait Pacific Islanders and Maoris, and I suppose people from Africa, Asia, and basically what I call the Six, generally, perhaps even. Although with Latin America, it wouldn't be natives so much necessarily, or not. It wouldn't be just natives. But anyway, yeah, I've been really tired, and I went to sleep about 5:30, I think, and I didn't manage to get my butt out of bed until about 9 p.m. That is like when my granddad nap and all that kind of thing. But anyway, these are pointers number 11 to 20, so I'll try and jump to it. I haven't planned it as well as I'd like, but I'll try and jump to it. But just saying, there's something I wanted to do for Italian soccer that I didn't get around to, but maybe hopefully tomorrow. But here goes. So number 11. One of the things I was thinking about is, as well as how I'd love to support, I normally say, I like to think of something different, but I normally cover, I know I'm very repetitive, but I normally cover, like, in this case, like, say, Native American inventors, ideas people, entrepreneurs, investors and whatnot, and change makers, I guess. Talking about change making, I wonder if by networking together and things like that, I wonder if, and possibly with AI as well, I wonder if there could be an easy or even easy ways, in the plural, to make money. I know I say that well, but that's one of my biggest mad sort of dreams, to find an easy way or even easy ways to make money, or in my case to help others, because I'm not that materialistic, but I need to have enough money to pay my bills. So in this world, you need money just to even pay your bills, I guess, just to survive, I guess, let alone live or thrive or whatever. But just have a roof over my head and enough to eat and enough to drink. I say, if I take things literally, I wouldn't give all my money away, because obviously I need enough to live on, to have enough to have a shelter, a roof over my head, a shelter and that kind of thing, enough to eat and drink and that kind of thing. And so I could give a lot of my money away, hopefully, if I made a lot of of money I'd certainly give away. I could give away, and I'd love to fundraise, which I hope to talk more about tomorrow. But what's my point again? Sorry, I won't be able to give all of it away. But yeah, I wonder if there's an easy way, or even easy ways to make money, like using AI, Entrical, there are apps. Maybe people could make Entrical, create apps, Entrical AI to do that. Robotics, and all that kind of thing included. But I guess part of me wonders. I think probably no one in the world has a completely easy life. I wish I was positive enough to think like life is a gift, but it's a pain in the nut. But pain in the nuts. It's a pain in the bum or whatever, or the brain or whatever, or on my body, in my case. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be positive, but. Yeah, I wonder if we could invent things that would make life a lot better and easier, including Native Americans, maybe learning to make those things. So using AI for a very positive thing rather than some of the negative things it might be used for. I think it depends on who designs them and what their intentions are. But yeah, I think it could be designed to make life a lot better. A lot more better in English, but yeah, I don't imagine anyone has a completely easy life all the time. I wonder. I think it'd be an interesting story or imagination. I'm perhaps jumping ahead of myself, but now to try and remember the initial point I was going to say when I thought about something different. Tomorrow, I think that's what I was going to say. Tomorrow, normally on Sundays, I like to go for like Subway Sundays. I like to have Pizza Fridays on Fridays, obviously, and Subway Sundays on Sundays. I had Sandwich Sunday today, which I made myself. Which was quite nice if I do say so myself. But normally I'm quite clumsy. I feel like it's gonna when I put the filling will drop out or whatever. But I put it in the air fryer. A nice side story. But so with cheese, melted cheese. Sorry if I'm making anyone hungry out there. But yeah, so I warmed it for about 6 minutes in the air fryer. But healthy eating, maybe that's something that could benefit Native Americans. But yeah, tomorrow I was thinking, because it's the 23rd and I think of like charity, philanthropy and all that kind of thing, I wonder if that's approximately £10 sterling that I spend. It's just under £10, but if I buy a meal deal, I wonder if instead I save like £10 and I give it to a chosen cause, maybe like Native Americans, for instance, if I find a way to donate to them. But I'd love to know what you think of as a worthy cause. And before I move on to point number 12 on that note, I'd love to know what you think is a worthy cause and whether you'd be interested in doing something similar. So maybe, I don't know, say for instance, if you smoke, you could donate that money you would save and try and say, I'm going to put that money in a jar and see how much I save per week. And I'm going to donate it to the Native Americans. That will make me feel better. And therefore I will be less likely to smoke, an idea. Or if I drink, I can have a week off drinking, no drinking, go dry for, as they say, for a week, and donate what I save to benefit Native Americans, and struggle neurodivergent people, and struggle the black community or whatever. Obviously that's individual choices and life is a numbers game, but some people out there might say, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Or even to things that you think, organizations that tackle cancer, like, as I said, Movember here in Britain, they have something where you're supposed to grow your moustache. Mine is just because I'm too tired, clumsy, and lazy to cut it. And my stepdad normally shaves it, but it was a hard day, so because I'm very clumsy, I cut myself. Not that kind of thing. But maybe I could do a Movember on these videos and all that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I may put the link on for Movember from what I remember. But yeah, I wonder if you can think of something like that. So yeah, for each time you don't smoke, you don't drink alcohol, I don't know if druggies could do the same thing, but each time you don't take drugs and you're trying to come off drugs, you could do that to try and cure a bad habit. Because sometimes if you feel bad, you go back to it, but you can say, oh, I feel really good. I've helped these people, so I'm seeing how much money I'm saving to give to a good cause and that kind of thing. Like one thing I'd love to do, I talked about in the past, infamous words of mine, is I said with this mug that it says Michael on it, amongst other things, I could say trouble, but is to put, like, each time someone calls me, each time they say Michael, they have to put money in a jar. Each time they give me an errand to do, like, it could be just £1, it could be 5, 10, or whatever pound, even 15 or 20 pound, or whatever, and that could go towards donating to like Native Americans. Although I wouldn't really know how to send the money over there, but maybe we could find a way to donate to a cause that helps Native Americans in areas like STEM or whatever. But anyway, moving on to number 12. I'd love to encourage people to support the Native American Empowerment Plan and the Empowerment Plan for the Indigenous people from across the Americas. Again, similar ideas could be for Indigenous people from Australasia. And I mentioned in part one, I can't remember which point it was, but I mentioned about how I lose my train of thought in mid speech. I mentioned that normally on Mondays, I think of mentor and called Motivational Mondays generally, but I was thinking, because my initials start with M and end in S, sometimes I think of M and S or S and M and that kind of thing, but not in that way. I realize what that can mean though, but anyway, moving on that note. Number 13, I'd love to see, I'll talk about my selfish dreams as I normally do for point number 13, so like about Italian soccer, and my fears for it, and my hopes and dreams for it from a selfish point of view. And it's a first world problem, but I think you've got to have something in life which you enjoy. So as well as helping others, I think that's really important. Trying to be an ethical and good person. I was thinking about, for instance, like if someone says, I'm like, say for instance, I say tomorrow I'm in a charitable mood. Some people might say, because it's the 23rd, I normally try and be charitable every day, but I'm thinking of fundraising and charitable ideas and giving even more on a 23rd tomorrow, because it's the 23rd, as I say. So even though I try and do that daily if I can, I'm not very good at it, but I do try, I promise. Tomorrow I hope to do that even more because it's the 23rd. And sorry for people to remind people, but it's 1 month and 2 days till Christmas tomorrow. From tomorrow. So yeah, sorry for those who don't like Christmas, and welcome, and you're welcome those who do like Christmas. But again, I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, I think I was thinking of someone like Joe Bloggs who he says, oh, I'm going to help my family. I'm in a really charitable mood, so I'm going to mow the lawn. I'm going to do all the gardening. I'm going to do all the cleaning and tidying up, and all that kind of thing. I think that sounds too much like hard work to me. But also, I think like there's only so many hours in a day, unfortunately. So you can't help all the people all the time. And I think that's where priorities, I hope I don't jinx this by including it in point number 13. I might include this a bit later in the video in point number 15. So a couple of steps away, a couple of pointers away. But yeah, my selfish dreams for Italian soccer, back to that, and my fears for Celtic as well. But yeah, I think you have to have those things as well as helping other people. Which like you might call them first world problems, but at the same time, they are things that are quite important to have fun and enjoy life and not be too serious or miserable all the time. That kind of thing, in my opinion. But I'd love to know what you think as ever. But back to Native Americans, I'd love to know what problems they face, what struggles they face, and that kind of thing, so we can look at how to address those issues. I mean, it might be sad to find out some of those struggles, but hopefully we can look to resolve them. Big word for me. Solve them and resolve them and whatever. What's the difference between solve and resolve? Please let me know. Anyone who knows that one. But also, Native Americans telling and selling their own scary stories, like on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, even posting them up, making videos of them, reacting to scary videos. I'd love to know who the Native American version of Blasphemous HD and Chills and other scary YouTube channels which react to scary videos, what they could be, like a Native American doing that, or Native Americans in the plural doing that sort of thing. So I'd love to encourage them to do that, and also telling their own scary stories, urban legends, myths, creepypastas as they call them nowadays, and that kind of thing, and making their own books and videos, and maybe even games and songs with scary lyrics in, and, or whatever. Maybe even like capitalizing on like the Skinwalkers, Native American legend, where they can make, as I say, games on like Escape the Skinwalker, both online games, board games, card games, video games, and whatever. So both on and offline, and that kind of thing. And also, as I say, books, videos, scary movies, and whatever, and things like that. So they could capitalize on their imaginations and ideas and whatnot, their scary ideas and imaginations in this case. But yeah, maybe they could talk about the issues they face, which they kind of do online. Maybe more people could be encouraged to look into that and see, like, how can we help them solve their problems. And I think that covers everything. Point number 13. Number 14, I did forget to say in the intro, good victory for Celtic today. I feared we were going to drop points. Sorry for those who are not into soccer, but apparently we scored in the 94th minute. Another great goal by our Captain Callum McGregor, Callum for short. So most importantly, 3 points. With 4 points behind Hearts, but I hope we can catch them up. Hope we can break Hearts, as I said before. I thought of ideas, questions I'd love to ask to Celtic fans, Celtic supporters, and I made some videos on that. I think it was on YouTube, but that might have been when my Facebook profile was blocked. So I was trying to look at them and find them on Facebook. But sorry, I should probably get my words out again. But I think that it might be when my Facebook profile was blocked. Either that, or sometimes Facebook deletes my videos, which is really annoying. But at least I've got a copy from almost 2 weeks ago. I think it was like 12 or 13 days ago on I don't jinx it, on questions to ask Celtic supporters, and I'd also love for ways for Celtic supporters to ask questions to the board. I thought I could also make videos soon, maybe in December, where I ask questions to the board, if not in January or whatever. But I think I'm going to struggle with time. Time is a real pain in the neck. All that clear off it, to be fair. You either seem to have too much of it when you're bored, or too little of it when you're trying to achieve things, or when you're having fun, or whatever. Sod's law, as they say, or say lappy, or whatever. That's why, whatever. But that's about the level of my French, to be fair. But anyway, I dream to talk about the problems Native Americans face, going back to Native Americans and Native people from across the Americas and Aboriginals. It'd be interesting to hear those problems, sad as they might be, so that we can look at ways to solve them, see how we can solve those problems. Number 15, as I say, one of my dreams and goals is to see if we can find easy ways to fundraise. And there was a point I was going to mention. I think it was about in point number 13. I'll mention that. I think it was about lack of time, and I was thinking like priorities are really important. I wish I could sit down and think of what's important to me in life and my priorities. I know I talk about my 5 causes, for instance, in my case, but I think it'd be good, and I want to think more about this tomorrow, but if people say like what I was thinking about recently, reminding myself recently, like what are the best things you can do for the greatest number of people? Like, this sounds like too much hard work for me, and I'll probably get a heart attack thinking about this, so I don't want to think about it too much. But I was thinking if I don't drink my tea before it gets too cold, talking about heart attacks. But on a serious note, sorry, I shouldn't joke about heart attacks, I guess, but I'm a bit allergic to hard work. But I was thinking like if someone, I said Joe Blogs does like gardening, cleaning, tidying up, doing all these chores, doing the dishes, taking out the bins, and all these different things. Oh my goodness, and doing all this hard work and that kind of thing for their family. Like if I did that, if I had the energy, even if I had the energy and I did that, maybe I'd make my mum and my family and my mum's friends and all these people say, "Oh yeah, finally Mike's turned it around and he's doing all these good things." They probably won't call me M.K.S, but or maybe they would as a nickname, or whatever, Miggy or M.K.S or whatever they call me, trouble or whatever, pain in the neck. It's fair enough, I get them. I feel sorry for my poor mum having to put it with me, but even if I did all that, like the stuff I want to do in terms of helping African countries in tech, for instance, helping Native Americans, helping Aboriginals and that kind of thing, I think that would be neglected, because I often think that if you get a plain piece of paper, or whether it's coloured, if it's different colours, or if it's green or white or whatever, for what it's worth, I don't know why I mentioned that one, but if you get, I'm thinking of like a white piece of paper, plain paper, I guess, unlined and all that kind of thing, and you drew a circle. I tried to draw a circle recently, I was like, oh my god, what's wrong with me? I can't even draw a circle. But if you drew a circle, I was trying to do it freehand without like something, a protractor, whatever it's called. But if you draw a circle and you put that like lines across it, like 24 of them to represent each hour of the day, or a clock face, I have to pronounce that properly. But if you drew that circle and you looked at your time and how you prioritize and how long you spend on each thing, and again, I forgot the point I was going to mention. you could organize your time. And I think of like, I have to mention, like, I think of time as being like pizza or a pie or a cake. I think, okay, Mike's really lost the plot now. But what I mean by that is, if it has a cake or a pie or a pizza with 24 slices, that's obviously each hour of the day. And if you gave them away, and each thing you do, each task, errand or whatever you do, even if it's for yourself or for anyone else, you're kind of metaphorically giving away that time in this case. So that slice of pizza, which represents time, or cake or pie or whatever. And again, I think this is why priorities are so important. You can't give it to. So if you say, I'm going to give 8 slices of pizza to a homeless guy, and you say, well, I still expect to have 24 slices left. Well, simple maths states you're only going to have 16. So if you sleep for 8 hours, for instance, that's not quite the same thing. But if you sleep for 8, well, it's still taking up your time. Or if you do all these chores or errands, it's going to take away from your goal. So Kevin O'Leary was saying, Kevin O'Leary from the Shark Tank on an interview on the Diary of a CEO was saying about the late Steve Jobs. He said he wasn't a nice person at all. Sorry, Steve Jobs, to give you a secret away, but I'm sure he won't really mind. But may God bless him all the same. But the late Steve Jobs was very, he said he focused on like 80%, as he put it, signal and only 20% noise. And I think people like me and most people are the opposite. Like we follow noise. Like I get distracted by cat videos or things like that. And he said the only person who does that more is Elon Musk, which is why he's so successful. I think being happy and all that kind of thing, healthy and happy, is more important. But so it depends how you define success. But again, the priorities will tell you how you define success. So if you think, well, today I helped 100 people. If I help Africa in tech, I could technically help 1 billion or more people. So that to me would be quite a lot of success. Whereas other people, it's making more money or whatever. And I think most of society seems to see that as success. But they don't do the things that make them more easier said than done or whatever. But yeah, I suppose I'm saying the same thing, like signal over noise. I'm just saying it in a different way. But yeah, I think it's a good analogy, even if I do say myself one of those. But on that note, moving on. But yeah, prioritizing and focusing on priorities and that kind of. Number 16, I'd love to know from people what are the best ways to support Native people across the Americas. Number 17, once again, could you imagine if there are an easy way or even easy ways to make money? I know Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and so many others say you've got to work really hard, you've got to work super hard. I've heard a few people say like you can find smart ways around it, but I'm sure you've got to work hard at some point, unfortunately. I like to keep hope alive, but I suppose it's smart and hard work. Some people say you have to do both. But Warren Buffett apparently said that his work ethic borders on sloth. He just invests in things, and I wonder, like, one thing is like using AI, especially robotics. If people could create apps. Now, I was going to say that earlier on in point number 11, like they probably have to work hard on building those apps. I'm sure call those robots. Swear word to me, I know. A 4-lettered word, as they say, or whatever, an 8-lettered word, because there's 2 swear words together. Well, when you put them together, at least. But I love to work smart. If I didn't work at all, I think a part of me thinks, as someone who's so lazy, if I just sat down and watched YouTube videos all day, I'd probably be very bored. But yeah, could you imagine if there were apps, robots, AI, and things like that? And also, like I was thinking about investing, almost got to say, like, imagine if you could just take money, put it into something, and especially if you're dyslexic, creative, and visionary, and problem solver, but also someone who can predict, most importantly, future trends. Like I think of like giving something away here, but what are people going to be using in the next 5 to 10 years? If you think about it, people talk so much about AI. I remember when I was in sociology class at school, and I will try and get to a point. I know this video's gone really long, but partly because of my technical issues with Facebook, I'll blame that. But on a slightly more serious note, when I was in sociology class almost 27 years ago, probably about 27 or even 28 years ago, in fact, the sociology teacher used to say, examiners are people without fathers. I shouldn't drop them in it, but I don't want to say the word because I don't want to swear in my videos if I can help it most of the time. But unless I give a trigger warning or whatever. But he said that when he was looking through an exam, he said like they try and trick you and all that kind of thing, and people get nervous or whatever. I think if you go to an exam, I'm not a big fan of academia, but when I was doing my driving test, I thought just practice it. And I think I've already done all I'm going to do is do what I've already done at home in an exam room or whatever. Although the exam room looked very different to what I was expecting, but so to do my theory and all that kind of thing. But if you think about it, if you go to an exam, you think, well, if I just practice, I've already done this stuff. It's just it feels different psychologically because it's an exam. It's an exam room. Like if you also, I think in business, if you practice your pitch, but easier said than done. But talking about practicing pitches and that kind of thing, getting to the point and struggling with my pronunciation. Be careful with that word. Pitches and all that kind of thing. Anyway, now I've lost my train of thought again. Sorry. But yeah, I was thinking like AI, like that's going to be something people are going to use, and I don't imagine it's going to slow down. I know some companies will probably lose a lot of money. Sometimes you've got to be really careful, like the .com crash. But even though there was a .com crash, and so many people lost lots of money in tech, unfortunately, and that even unfortunately left to suicides and all sorts of terrible things, which is a sad state of affairs. But at the same, because I don't really want anyone to suffer and that kind of thing. But at the same time, a lot of people still made a lot of money, a huge amount of money, like Bill Gates and people like that, Mark Zuckerberg and people like that, have made a lot of money through tech. Larry Ellison is another one. Steve Jobs, probably Elon Musk. I suppose he's in the tech field, I guess. Well, yeah, he was in the tech field and he still is, I guess. But especially Elon Musk, I should probably say. But and in fact, lots of neurodiverse people, talking about neurodiverse people, can be in tech, I'm sure. Even Bill Gates said like it's overrepresented in tech. But I'm not sure what the numbers are on that, but what percentage of people in tech are neurodiverse or whatever. But I'd like to think we are overrepresented in that area. But yeah, predicting future market trends, like what are people going to be using? And I imagine in 5 or 10 years, people are going to be using AI more and more. So it's probably something that's really good to learn. I think that's better to learn that than to save money because you're making your money more valuable. Those are my points. I could go on all night on that, but I'm going to move on. One thing before I move on, I'll say like about bringing it back to Native Americans. These ideas are hopefully things that Native Americans hopefully will stumble across these videos and get something from and say, oh yeah, that's a good point, and learn from, perhaps benefit from, or be able to try, like building robots and things like that. But also I'd love for them to make stories, like to work on lyrics, scripts, story writing, books, movies and things like that, as I said, and videos and whatever, TikTok, YouTube, supporting them on social media and things like that as well. Number 18, I hope these videos make a positive difference, and I hope Native Americans will be supported in the future ASAP, and hopefully my ideas will make a genuinely beneficial situation for Native people from across Americas, including next year in July, August, September, and possibly November again. I might do something similar, I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. It's already midnight, talking about time flying. Number 19, I'd love to support Native Americans in STEM and also Aboriginals. I'd love to have a project which supports Aboriginals, Torres and Strait Pacific Islanders and Maoris as well in STEM. I'd love to encourage companies to invest in them and support them and sponsor them and that kind of thing. And number 20, in part 1, I thought just towards the end of the video, as I ended my Facebook live video, I suppose I could have included it on the YouTube thing afterwards, but I decided not to. But as it took a bit longer to close that video or end that video, or whatever, as I did afterwards or whatever. But I was thinking about, I mentioned about supporting young people, and I think for them to start young to learn about STEM and business and things like that would be beneficial. So I think the younger they start to learn these things, the better. If I could live my life again, I suppose it would depend how much freedom God gave me, but if I could live my life again, I'd probably just not listen to the naysayers and just start a business. One thing is, if I was entrepreneurial, I would just go to Dubai or something like that. If I had the guts, if I believed in myself and I was entrepreneurial, I'd take a plane and go to Dubai and just start off there. Part of me thinks people like me and POC should go to South Africa and support their economy. And I'd love for them to host events to benefit their economy as they went through apartheid. I'd love for POC to support South Africa. But anyway, on that note, I'm out. Peace and love.